From Wall Street to Main Street, this is LALATE.
It's a big night of evenings LALATE as your fourth stimulus check gets a single major push on Friday evening. In advance of the CPI number coming out next week, fourth stimulus could be heading to the finish line faster than we thought. Fourth stimulus is that monthly stimulus check that starts in the month of July and would continue at least to the end of December. And in this recording, I give you a fourth stimulus check update of 2021 today. I also go over what happened yesterday, what happened today, and what will be happening next week that could impact your fourth stimulus checks, those multiple stimulus checks. Then I'll be cutting over to fifth stimulus and the big money coming in the fall, including SSI reform. I'll be going over the exciting great news just days ago as the federal government orders states to return money back to you right away. I'll go over that money you're getting and how soon you're going to get it and how much it is. And then we'll go over the other money, the money going live this coming week that you're ready to pounce and get. There's a lot of money happening, and I'll go over all the details across the board. I'm so excited you're here. It's going to be a beautiful evening on the eve of Mother's Day. This is Evenings LALATE. Good evening, everybody. How are you as America goes into the final hours before Mother's Day? I am very excited you have joined me on this major breaking news night across the board. It's Saturday night. And wow, what a night it is. Fourth stimulus is heating up. It's that monthly stimulus check that would pay you a lot of money starting the month of July. I'll go over how much money you're going to get and how you're going to get it in this recording. We'll also be going over the money that states have now been ordered returned back to you. We'll go over the other breaking news that hit day after day, hour after hour throughout this week that left a lot of people confused. There was the eviction moratorium developing details. There was the return of IRS refund checks. And then there was a question about how to request missing stimulus checks or tee up the federal government to provide them information to get that child's checks in just a few days. I'll be going over that as well. And then finally, we'll be cutting back to fifth stimulus and what's happening next week. That could signal there's more money coming for you additionally. It's a great night, and I'm so excited you're here. First, make sure you subscribe. This is LALATE, the only 24 hours a day, 7 days a week financial news channel, reporting on everything you need to know across the board. Also, like this video, and if you've not considered becoming a member, consider now. It's in the link in the top of the chat and also in the pinned comment. Let's get to the breaking news. The breaking news as we go in tonight is that Wall Street is anticipating the CPI number, the Consumer Price Index number, that could signal a big push to get fourth stimulus out the door. Fourth stimulus is the latest stimulus package from this president. And the fourth stimulus package is a two-bill, two-step, two-month process that starts in the month of May and finishes in the month of July. There are two ways to approach the bill, the House proposal and the Senate proposals. Let's look at them one at a time. First, the House members propose to give you a stimulus check for the remainder of the pandemic every month, and then a year thereafter. So let's say there's 4 months left to this pandemic, then they would give you 4 months of checks and then an additional year thereafter. The senators, however, view it differently. They want the stimulus checks to go from now to July. And then the amount of the checks differ slightly as well. So let's compare the two. House, as you just heard, the remainder of the pandemic plus 1 year. So that would be upwards of 16 checks, 17 checks, 18 checks. Senate members, however, would just go to the end of December. But before you like the House plan, look at the differences of the money. In essence, the House members give you a drizzle of money slowly over time, whereas the senators come in with a lot more money faster in a shorter period of time. The House members, the first check would be $2,000 a month, $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter. And then the senators would give you an amount monthly. We don't know just yet, but word on the street is it's this. Word on the street is the senators would pay you $2,000 a month over 6 months, which is $12,000, or $1,400 a month over 6 months, which is $8,400. Who's qualified for this? Who would receive this? How would you get it? What are the elements of that fourth stimulus check? And let me go over all those incredible details right now. So if you got the third stimulus check, you would get the fourth. SSI, SSDI, Social Security, and Railroad benefits, you would get this one. If you are a single individual, make less than $75,000, you get it. Married couple, $150,000 or less, you get it. Double the amount of check. Household, up to 4 people, quadruple the check. Adult dependents, children, all the same amount of the check. Is it income? No. Is it taxable? No. Would it be taken out for child support? We don't know those type of details yet. When would it be voted upon? When would they start? When would it be finished? When would we get the checks? 2-bill process starts in the month of May and it ends in the month of July. And the vote, according to, this is all as representation from the legislators, not from me, that the vote and the bill and the checks would go out in the month of July, month after month thereafter. July vote, July check in your hand, August check sent out, August check in your hand, and away we go. Very easy and breezy to understand and very simple to understand. It has been impacted by a series of 2 really competing factors over recent weeks, which I've detailed on this channel. I have said that the 2 competing factors were, 1, the concern that the economy rebounds too fast and that jobs are restored before the vote occurs. That no longer seems to be one of the likelihoods to occur because we're now showing that the rate of growth of this economy is actually slowing down from the month before or about the same. So we're not speeding up. That's fine. Second issue has been whether or not some other impeding element would kick in. Well, we haven't seen that either. But we did have incredible great news yesterday. Yesterday was a very, very complex day. And you saw throughout Friday's recordings, I tried to simplify for you. And I think I did perhaps a decent job of it. Let me explain where we are on a Saturday night. The totality of what happened on Friday was that the President of the United States came out and said, pass the fourth stimulus right away, darn it. I mean, that's about as simple as you can make it. Pass the fourth stimulus right away. And that thing happened in the morning on Friday. Complicated to go over what it was, but I'm telling you as your president, pass the fourth stimulus right now. That's really perfect messaging from the man with the biggest megaphone, and it pushes the fourth stimulus to the finish line. Remember, a reconciliation process is a 2-bill, 2-step, 2-month process that does not involve Republicans. So he's speaking to his Democratic legislators. That's who he's speaking to. Pass it right away. He also said the same thing about fifth stimulus. Now, yesterday I went over why the messaging behind that was so complicated. What I want to basically say to you, rather than repeat yesterday's reporting, is that the day started with a number that came out that showed that there are more jobs in this economy available than people, and that people are not taking the jobs. That was what a new number came out. A number that I've been telling you for 1 month was going to be the most important number for fourth stimulus, and it was. But it didn't deliver the number I thought it was going to be. It was, in fact, a very poor number. I was worried it was going to be a very good number, which could be bad for stimulus. It was a poor number, meaning that people were not getting back to work because even though there were more jobs available for them. The president took the report and said, this is the reason why you need to pass my fourth stimulus. And with that, we can sort of stop right there in that analysis for Friday. What's gone on from there, and I'm going to go over it, unfortunately, later in this recording, is that people have taken that Friday number and tried to interpret it. And ultimately, it has no impact on our stimulus checks. It really has no impact on our stimulus checks because our stimulus checks are impacted by getting it to a vote. Getting it to a vote, getting it out. That's all that are impacted on. Or any worry that the economy rebounds faster than anticipated. It's not. So we're done. We're good. All right, so now let's go over to, I'll have more about the stimulus checks in just a second, but let me go to that exciting great news that came from Marty Walsh, Department of Labor, around Thursday last week. The Department of Labor has ordered money returned back to you. This is great news. This is great news. So what is it? How much is it? And how is it going to land? And how does it work? Throughout the pandemic, some states have paid unemployment assistance to you. And then at some time during the duration of paying it to you, said, oh, we had a computer glitch. We, the Department of Unemployment in your state, we made a mistake. We paid you too much money. We paid you this extra money. Please return it to us immediately. And you got the letter and you're like, what? What do you mean return it to you? And then they'll probably say to another layer, return it to us immediately. It was not your fault. It was our fault, but return it to us immediately or else. And then you return the money. Well, Marty Walsh, head of the Department of Labor for the U.S. government, issued a statement late last week that said, no, the states made a mistake. They should have never ordered you to return their money. That was their mistake. It was not your fault. You're not at fault. You should have been able to keep the money. The Department of Labor has now ordered those states to return the money to you. This is great news. This is not the tax refund that you hear about, the $10,200. This is separate from that. So incredible great news. If you at any time return money back to your state, the money's coming back to you. Incredible. Also incredible great news is our series of money is also coming live this week and next week for more people. So what is that? This is also unemployment money. So this unemployment money is in two phases. Phase one are people who file personal tax returns, and phase two are people who file joint tax returns, like a husband and wife. So what's going on? If you paid taxes, if you filed your 2020 tax return already and paid taxes on your first $10,200, they were returning that portion of the tax bill back to you that was for the unemployment. So if you had $9,000 of unemployment last year, you already filed a tax return, your total tax bill was $5,000, of which $1,000 of it was for unemployment taxes, the taxes on the unemployment, they're returning that $1,000. Great news, automatic. For the married couple, your money is coming in phase two later this week. But let's get back to that forced stimulus. So let me, before I go over the other big money coming to you this next week, because it's very exciting. Forced stimulus really took a strange twist and turn. And that strange twist and turn started yesterday as the President of the United States came out and said, America needs to pass this forced stimulus package right away. Now, we can and should keep our mouths zip closed at that point, because at that point, we're fine. Because ultimately, the man with the message, the man that's pushing this to go to reconciliation, the man who wants the forced stimulus to be pushed to the finish line, said push it to the finish line. He didn't change his messaging, which is absolutely wonderful for us. Remember, forced stimulus checks is an add-on. The senators and the House members, they added to the forced stimulus package. The president says, I want roads, infrastructure, climate. They write that. He doesn't write the bill. They write that. And then they add in there, like, seasoning on top of a salad. They add on there the stimulus check provisions. And he said, get this done. Get this done. This is an example of why you need to get it done. Let me explain what happened with that number, though, yesterday, and why you need to be advised and informed and educated about the background of what the president's further words were yesterday and why they were off point. What happened yesterday was that the numbers came in and it showed that people were not taking jobs even though jobs were there. We got that. The question is why? And ultimately, there was a disagreement about why. And the president said, as in the context of the forced stimulus package first, the reason why the number was bad on Friday is because there's no jobs. No, that's not what the report said. The report said there were jobs and they weren't taking the jobs. Here's an example. The day before, the head of Papa John's appeared on broadcast news, said, I have 20, 30,000 store manager jobs available across the country. I can't get anyone to fill them. So what would that number reflect in the Economist number? It would reflect zero, meaning not 30,000, really rather zero. The president's message was the reason why we need to pass the forced stimulus is because Friday's number was bad, and that's because people have no jobs. No, the number on Friday was bad because there were jobs and they weren't taking them for whatever reason we may debate. So that is where we started. Now, throughout that analysis, and this is what I think perhaps the most important number you need to hear. Why? Because I do have a lot of viewers in the 1 year this channel's been around who have small businesses, husband and wife that have businesses. Maybe you have three, maybe you have one employee, maybe it's just you and yourself, maybe you're an Uber or Lyft driver, maybe you're a sole practitioner, or maybe you have 3 employees. The numbers Friday also reflected an interesting, shocking trend, that these were not people who did not get back to work. Rather, these were people who had jobs and had just been laid off because the business had just gone under. If this sounds familiar, it should. You've seen a graphic on this channel, which I don't think I'm going to look for, but it was a number that showed in the month of February, 22% of small business and middle-sized business in the United States shut down completely. They went through the entire pandemic. They survived, and then they got to February. They waited for third stimulus to deliver them some business grants. There was none, and then they shut down. At that point, the problem is that we now see in Friday's number that businesses are really struggling because they have also shut down and had to lay off employees. So there's that notion as well. Meantime, the number for Friday also signaled great news for fifth stimulus. Fifth stimulus is the stimulus package that hits in September. And fifth stimulus in September delivers relief in several ways. One, it provides incredible SSI and SSDI relief. Second, it also comes in and delivers incredible relief for hazard pay. Of all those details and more, and why Friday's number was so good for you, I'll be back in 60 seconds. But first, here's a little bit about the community page. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. It's a beautiful night, and I'm really excited you have joined me on a wonderful, wonderful Saturday night as we go into Mother's Day and a beautiful weekend. I hope you are safe and wonderful across the board. This is LALATE, the 24-hour a day, 7 days a week financial news network, and I'm so glad you joined me. I'm back with you in 2 hours from now with our Laugh a Minute humor-only broadcast. Javita Light and Sirloin are back with you in 2 hours from now. If you want more information about today's video, watch Afternoons LA 2 hours before this. It's now archived on the channel. That has more about your fourth and fifth stimulus. It's now archived on this channel. But meantime, subscribe if you're new to this channel because I don't want you to miss a single video across the board. This channel is 1 year and a few days old at 400,000 subscribers, almost there. No one in the history of YouTube has ever done this. So keep us going to the moon. I'm not going on SNL, but at least take me to the moon. And with that, also like this video, 2,000-3,000 likes. And I'm in the live chat, so say hi, how are you? And if you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP have access to the PDFs of all the bills, all the provisions, all the items you need to know about third, fourth, and fifth stimulus. All right, let's get back to the exciting, great news. The president also said in his messaging on Friday that because of the number that came out on Friday, we need to pass the fifth stimulus package right away. So while he was a cheerleader for the fourth stimulus package on Friday, he was also a cheerleader for the fifth stimulus package. And this is incredible, great news. Incredible, great news. Now, the reason why he wants to pass the fifth stimulus, again, does not make sense, but we can just keep our mouth closed at that point. Fifth stimulus is that incredible provision, incredible stimulus package that kicks in this fall, and that will include SSI reform. Democrats have vowed to put it in there, and that SSI reform has several levels. Let me go over them for you. First, I'm going to broadly tell you what they are, and then I'll come back and slow it down and go over the details. They're going to increase your benefit limits, remove the asset limits, add an inflationary benchmark, remove the marriage penalty, and remove the income penalty. All right, let's go over what that means very slowly. Who is this for? You. SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, SSA, survivor, Social Security, and Social Security survivor benefits. Very easy to understand. If you have multiple benefits, they would all be impacted. So what are they going to do? First, they're going to raise you up to a big new number. This would be your new number going forward. Remember, the SSI reform will not hurt something else. So it won't hurt Medicare, it won't hurt Medicaid, it won't hurt SNAP. They're not trying to hurt something else by helping you here. So they're going to raise you up to a big new number. That would be your new number. Second, they're going to remove the benchmark of COLA. COLA is your current benchmark, which doesn't change. It's ineffective. It doesn't do anything. It's the same number every year, 0. So they're going to remove that and tie you to inflation, which is expected to grow 2 to 4%, as you know, because you watch this channel every year over the next few years. But if it goes up higher, and I have a lot of reports about that coming up tomorrow on Sunday, if inflation goes up even higher, then your benefits go up higher. Next, they're going to remove and cancel a 1980s law called the asset cap law that says you cannot keep more than $3,000 on hand for some of you as a single individual. They're going to remove that. You're going to need that removed. Why? Because if you're getting $8,000 to $12,000 in stimulus check money over 6 months and keeping it in the bank, yeah, it's going to cause a problem. Next, they're going to remove the income exclusion. The income exclusion is dating back to a 1960s law, which they are going to invalidate, which says you cannot work and also stay on benefits up to a certain point. It's a horrible law. So if you want to work, you don't have to work, but if you want to work, you can take home money. $1,000, $2,000 a month, they'll decide that new benchmark, and you'll have $12,000, $24,000 a year in income and still stay on benefits. And finally, the marriage penalty. I have a lot of viewers that have seen this, know what it is, suffered it, or are facing it. They will invalidate the marriage penalty permanently. It will be no longer an existing law. So it means if you're suffering from the marriage penalty, it will be gone. And if you're looking to get married but have not because of the marriage penalty, it will be gone. So when would this SSI reform kick in? It would kick in around November. Again, this is a reconciliation process, the same as the fourth stimulus. Instead of a stimulus check, they're adding in the SSI reform. 2 bills, 2 months, 2 steps. Start in September, done by about November. And there you go. Now, fifth stimulus has that add-on of SSI and SSDI reform. But what's important to understand is that fifth stimulus has a lot of other money for you. And when I mean you, I don't mean babies, because I don't think I have babies tuning in right now. Hi. Unless you are. Hi, baby. I'm referring to adults who are watching me right now. There's a lot of other money in the fifth stimulus for adults. Now, what's important to understand is what is that other money in the fifth stimulus for adults? Well, there is money in the fifth stimulus to reduce your insurance premiums. There is money that would be an extension of the third stimulus package provision, making it permanent. There is money in there to give you free 12 weeks of free paid leave for a series of other reasons besides just being sick, including the stalker provision, which has become sort of a topic of discussion on this channel. If you have a stalker, you can stay home and get 12 weeks of paid leave from your boss under the fifth stimulus package. Someone actually sent me a message, can I get that money now? No, it's not law yet. And then making the earned income tax credit permanent, which is for my hazard pay workers. So before I go more into the fifth stimulus in just a second, let me go over what the president said about it yesterday. The president said, you need to pass the fifth stimulus package because of the numbers of the jobs that came out on Friday. Great. I love it. It's great for us. It's a man with a megaphone bigger than anyone else, the President of the United States, using the bully pulpit and saying, get it done. Love it. Perfect. But then he continued to talk. And then he said, the reason why you got to pass it right away is because the babies need money. No. The Friday's number had nothing to do about child labor or children. Had to do with adults. Friday's number asked how many millions of American adults had not taken jobs despite jobs being available. Had nothing to do with their babies. Now, the problem with his messaging trying to explain why Friday's number was what it was is his fifth stimulus package, which if you're a member, you have this information delivered to you daily. The fifth stimulus package's provisions have a lot of provisions in there to pay you to stay at home. And that's exactly what he should not be talking about. He should just, stay sitting in the corner because you don't want to be bragging about your spending to keep people at home when the number that came out Friday was about people not taking jobs and staying at home. So among the items to stay at home, 12 weeks, if you have a stalker, you can stay at home and you can get full payment. And then we have the earned income tax credit, which I really want to go over. This is a provision which you've heard me talk about. I really like. I think it's too cheap. But here you know why the number may be discouraging people from work. Here's the example. Grocery store offers you a job. You want to go work at the grocery store, and you don't know if you feel particularly safe there. And then the president comes around the fifth stimulus package and says, well, take the job at the grocery store because I'll give you an earned income tax credit of $1,504 if you make less than $25,000 this year. And you think, I'm going to risk my life for a tax credit of $1,000. I'm not going to risk my life for a tax credit. It's not a check, it's a tax credit. And it's only a measly $1,500. I'm not going to do that. So you see how the president's lack of spending on a tax credit for my hazard pay workers could discourage them from getting back to work. Hazard pay, as we all know, throughout 2020 was supposed to be $10,000 and actually a check, not a tax credit. But to come in with a tax credit of $1,500 and limit it to only people who make a little bit of money makes also no sense, especially from an administration that's touting raising the minimum wage. Who's going to work full time over an entire year and make less than $25,000? It does. All these things are not adding up, as she's starting to see. So this is why that number needs to be bigger. It should be people who make less than $60,000 can get an earned income tax credit as a hazard pay worker of $7,000. It's not a check; it's an earned income tax credit. But that encourages people to get back to work. Elizabeth Warren came around yesterday and she tried to explain the president's comments, which was not a good idea because suddenly she made the situation sound even more complicated. And when she said the reason why Americans are not getting back to work is because they have children. No one's had children in the U.S. economy over the last 200 years. We just started having children in the last 16 months. I maybe in Boston they have a lot of children, but I don't know. I've seen some children in California over the last few years. I see these short people, and they dress better than me. They're really short, and they're 2 foot, and they just sometimes they're in a little pushy carrot. I think those are children, right? So she said we're just having children, and that's why that people are not going back to work because we're just having children. No, Miss Senator Warren, that's not a good idea. Just keep it close. Focus on the student loan debt forgiveness. Focus on the SSI reform, focus on the multiple stimulus checks. And by the way, I know you're going to say, why isn't she talking about the Miguel Cardona? Yeah, I could just censure in the comments right now watching me live. Can she just talk about Miguel Cardona's letter? Yeah, where is that letter? It's now 6 weeks since the letter was supposed to be due. And she's talking about little children again. Stop talking about children. Let's talk about Miguel Cardona, who's supposed to prepare that deal memo about student loan debt forgiveness 5 weeks ago. I'm losing track. It is now several months old. Late the letter. I mean, imagine passing in homework late to Dr. Jill or any professor. You can't do that. Why is the education secretary allowed to pass in his homework 2 months late? So millions of Americans are wondering where that student loan debt forgiveness memo is that would say where the president can forgive student loan debt by executive order. Obama did it, Trump did it. And guess what? If you go on to the number one financial broadcast news channel, not this channel, but broadcast news channel, one of the number one search stories is there's 1 million people signed a petition to forgive student loan debt. So the president's feeling the heat, and he's trying to turn on the air conditioner. The U.S. Department of Chamber of Commerce came out yesterday, however, about this jobs number. And the overwhelming consensus of the jobs number, why it came in that way, why the number reflected that there were more jobs than people taking them, that people were not taking jobs, was because of FPUC. And that's what the U.S. Department of Chamber of Commerce said. The disappointing jobs report makes it clear that paying people not to work is dampening what should be a strong job market, meaning FPUC. You're paying them not to work. You're paying them to stay at home. Representative Nancy Mace, representative South Carolina, says, turns out paying millions of Americans to stay at home leads to millions of Americans paying staying home. It was interesting. Yesterday, the comments of the viewers, one viewer said, I just got laid off. And that comment's fascinating because that's exactly what the second page of my notes show, which is it's different for people who were just at work in February and now laid off. That's what the Department of Chamber of Commerce is not looking at, is that there's a lot, 30% of businesses are shutting down every month. Those are people going into the unemployment numbers. The unemployment numbers on Friday also showed it went up. New people on unemployment, which, let's make that very clear, it's new people. meaning you weren't off claim and then you went back on claim. These are new people. So businesses are shutting down because the president has, one, not gotten the EIDL grant of $5,000 out. There's no mention about it from SBA anywhere. The shuttered venue grant and the restaurant grant have been very slow to pass out money. The $10,000 EIDL grant from 2020, I just heard a lot of bad stories about it from viewers. So the president's spending on other items, not just stimulus checks, on other items, has not been where it should be. And ultimately, for now, we are in a perfect place for the stimulus checks. The stimulus checks, the universal consensus among viewers' comments yesterday, and some analysts, and I agree 100% with you, is that the reason why stimulus checks work and these other instruments don't work is because people are behind on their bills and they need to get caught up. They need to get caught up and stop drizzling people $100 every 6 months. They're never going to get caught up on anything. The the House Democratic plan, viewers said, does not work. $1,000 a month doesn't cut it, doesn't pay for rent, barely pays for utilities. Give Americans a big cash infusion over a very short period of time to get everyone caught up on their bills. So we are all caught up. We're paid up on our rent, our utilities. We are paid up on everything. We are not paying interest on prior debts. We are caught up. That's why millions of Americans prefer the Senate plan. Give Americans $12, $14, $16, $18,000 over 6 months, $8,000, $9,000. Get them caught up. Don't give them $100 every 10 seconds and every 10 seconds and every 10 seconds. No one's going to get caught up. Ultimately, I want you to stay informed, stay focused. If you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Also, like this video. And if you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. I'll see you in 2 hours from now on LA Late Night. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay with LA for more.